everyone. My name is John Brenneman, and I'm the president here at MOA Vacation. We are joined today by Bret Dalgaard with Viking River, Viking Ocean, and Viking Expedition Cruises. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We are, as we often do with these webinars, we are recording this. So tomorrow you'll get an email with a link to this webinar. So if there's anything that you want to revisit, we started right at the top of the hour. So if 35 minutes, Bret says 35 minutes in, Bret says something that piques your interest, just kind of make a mental note of that or jot it down. And then when you get the video, instead of watching it all the way through, you can just fast forward to that moment. I'm going to talk about it more in a little bit, but you are invited to bring friends and family along, and you will be eligible for all of the MOA discounts and the MOA special amenities. So feel free to share the webinar with any friends and family who you think might be interested as well. I'm going to talk real quick in just a second, and then I'm going to turn it over to Bret. He has a lot to cover with basically oceans, expeditions, and rivers to talk about today. But once I turn it over to Bret, if you have any questions, if you take your cursor and kind of put it at the bottom of the screen or however, depending on what kind of device you're on, you'll see a couple of conversation bubbles come up that say Q&A. Feel free to just drop your questions right in there. I will be answering questions during Bret's presentation. If it is something that I think everyone will be interested in, we will revisit it at the end, because when Bret gets done, we will do a Q&A, and both of us will hang out until we get all the questions answered. So some of them I'll answer during Bret's presentation. The ones that I think might be universally interested, we'll talk about at the very end, make sure that everyone's clear on everything Viking has to offer. So first thing real quick before we get into the Viking aspect of it, for those of you, I think we had almost 250 people register for today's webinar. So I think it's the largest one we've had yet this year. So thanks everybody for signing up. We do have a number of people who this is their first webinar. So I always like to start out and talk a little bit about MOA Vacation. So I have this slide right here, which basically kind of tries to summarize everything that we offer that makes us different from other travel agencies, in kind of just 4 kind of bullet points. So the first thing we always talk about is our superior service. The way I always address this is we are and we continue to be the only travel agency to offer travel on a satisfaction guaranteed basis. If you have any issue or problem or concern prior to your cruise or during your cruise, you will either talk to myself. If anybody has issues, I talked about 90% of the clients. There are some instances where if I'm traveling or I'm unavailable, Mike Tyrell, our vice president, will handle them. But if you have an issue or concern, it goes immediately to management. And literally, we just ask you what it's going to take to resolve that to your satisfaction. We make that happen. We do have a lowest price guarantee. This one, we used to only have 3 points. I used to kind of put lowest price guarantee in with satisfaction guarantee. My assumption always was no one would ever be satisfied if they paid too much for their cruise. But people like to hear that. So we actually have separated that out now. We do have a free amenity program with a number of our preferred vendors. And in fact, offering a MOA exclusive amenity is one of the things we require before a cruise line or a tour company can be deemed one of our preferred suppliers and show up in our newsletters and Military Officer magazine. Viking does participate. If you book any Viking Ocean, Viking River, or Viking Expedition cruise in the month of July, you will receive $100 per person shipboard credit. This would apply to all of the bookings you made. So if you made multiple bookings, this would apply to all of them. And if you brought friends or family along, they would receive the same $100 per person shipboard credit. And then the final thing we always talk about is we do offer group opportunities. This is your opportunity to travel with not only family and friends, but with fellow MOA members in your city or your local chapter, as well as MOA members from all across the country. I can tell you that the members who go on these groups, the feedback we get is phenomenal, because the added camaraderie of going with fellow members and sharing the experience. like-minded people with similar backgrounds. So that's really in a nutshell, in 2 minutes or less, I guess, is kind of why we are the official travel agency for MOAA, is because of the package of services and savings that we offer. So without any further ado, I know everybody showed up today to listen to Bret talk about Viking and everything they have going on with their, is it 100 ships yet, Bret? I know you were going to pass that threshold at some point.
Yeah, yeah, we're right at 100 ships now.
Right at 100 ships. So
Yeah.
we hit it. Woo!
Yeah.
All righty. Well, here's to the next 100, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, everybody, I'm going to turn my camera off. As I mentioned, I'm going to be answering questions while Bret's talking. And then when Bret's finished, we'll do a Q&A then as well. So Bret, take it away.
Thank you very much, John. And so glad to be here to share a little bit more about Viking. Thankful to have the chance to speak to the MOA members, and thank you for your service to those of you, and really want to showcase the value in Viking, and share a little bit more about some of the itineraries, the offerings. My name is Bret Dalgaard. I've been with Viking almost 7 years now. Majority of the time was actually working on board in excursion operations as a manager, and then a hotel general manager on our ocean expedition as well as our river ships. So really want to share my expertise about the product. And as John mentioned, we're ever growing. The demand has been out there. And so we've had more and more ships come online. So about 100 ships now, and really want to offer you destinations all around the world. So 7 continents, we're at 85 different countries, over 475 or 484 ports of call around the world. All the oceans. We really want to get out and see everywhere. The last question that we ask our guests before they depart is, where can we take you next? And we want to grow more and more destinations, even closer to home. We have places along the Mississippi and the Great Lakes. So really do like to take guests around the world, explore those destinations, as well as come a little bit closer to home. Now, with this, our Viking difference is something we're very, very proud of, and that's that we're destination focused, culturally enriching, and carefully curated. All of the decisions that Viking makes are intentional, and so we're very intentional on where we go, how we set up our staterooms, the amenities we choose. And one of the biggest things that I think we're very intentional with is the crew that we choose, and that's where we carefully curate, our trainings and everything that sets up our crew and our crew standards. We take very good care of our crew, which then takes care of our guests. And I think our guests through and through, when they come home from a destination, they talk about the experiences in those ports of call, and they also talk about that high level of service and the experience they have with our crew. Now, our philosophy is a little bit different than some others, and we very much want to focus on like-minded individuals and the destination. So we say that we're not everything to everyone. And so if there are certain demographics or groups of, say, families with children, we don't necessarily have the perfect cruise for them, but we do have itineraries for like-minded individuals, those who are again, like I said, destination oriented. It's a highly inclusive product, very much focused on the value. We don't want to nickel and dime. We want to provide a very inclusive product throughout the excursion, or throughout the travel to the experience on board, as well as some of our pre and post extensions. And as I mentioned earlier, our crew is very much part of that high level value. And we think we hire some of the best, and we also retain. Most of our crew do come back season after season, whether that be on our European riverways or our retention on our oceans, which really stands to say the experience our crew are able to provide our guests. Now, value is that main focus I had mentioned, and here are a few of the amenities or the added included value that we have for our guests. And as we go through some of this, I know some of you may have taken a Viking cruise before, or maybe you're new to Viking, but these are things that aren't standard across all the industry. So things like a complimentary shore excursion, and this is not an excursion that just takes you to the center of town and drops you off, but a inclusive experience with a local guide We have our own audio systems, our own coaches. We really want to make sure that if you only have 2 to 3 hours in a destination, we take you to those highlights of that location. And then for the rest of the day, you're able to go off and explore on your own. Or if you want a second tour, a more intimate tour, those are available as well. So the included excursion really is that highlight tour, highlighting what you would really want to see in those locations. The additional items are things like free Wi-Fi. All of our meals, including our specialty dining, is included. You just need reservations for our specialty dining. We have 24-hour room service on our Ocean and Expedition in Mississippi. We have all kinds of different items. Beer, wine, and soft drinks are included at lunch and dinner, and our specialty coffees, all of those items. We take our guests to unique experiences like UNESCO World Heritage Sites. We really want to make it focused on that destination by bringing on enrichment lectures and performances. So more and more that is included. And you find that even things like bottled water, which will be provided at the gangway as you head off on excursions, they'll be at the coaches, as well as when you come back if you want to take water back to your room, though we have water in your rooms as well. So again, a very inclusive value. And part of the experience with Viking, I mentioned like-minded individuals. We like to say that we are the thinking person's cruise, and some might say the thinking person's, not the drinking person's. But as you see here, we do, of course, serve some wonderful wines and spirits throughout. But we share about the wines and spirits. You see the chef going into the menus and sharing why the pairings of the wines work so well. We really focus on those destinations. And if you're traveling around the Rhine, of course, we're going to have those German Rieslings or German beers. We really want to bring the destination to you through the menus as well. And so we take care of that. We have a lot of options for our guests to get to know the destinations before you go, whether that be Viking.tv, a web-based TV series or TV channel. You can go on there and there's information about destinations, about food culture, music, all of the destinations we travel to. You simply search for the destination and multiple episodes will come up about those regions. Now, each day there's a new episode. So if you are interested, it's Viking.tv and it's through any web browser and it's really great. I mentioned some of the other items. Once you get on board, we have curated libraries. We have our destination speakers. Again, so much to really showcase where you're traveling to, the history, the culture, and then, as I mentioned, those flavors. And here's a few of the elements that we do to bring those flavors to you on board the ship, whether that be go out in a port of call with the chef who goes to a local market, or coming back to enjoy something like our Taste of events, where the chef will curate a menu for the evening to highlight whether that be a taste of France, a taste of Holland, again, a full buffet or option for you on that evening to highlight the destinations. On our ocean ships, we'll always have additional items in the World Cafe. And then in our main dining room, we'll always have the right-hand side of the menu as a destination-focused menu. And the left-hand side will be the American classics. So you can always have chicken, steak, salmon, salads, all of those will be available. But the right-hand side fully focused on the destination or region that you're traveling to. Now, I mentioned a lot of things that Viking is, and I also have to highlight a few of the things that Viking is not. And I mentioned the families are children, so we are no children, so everyone must be over 18. We say we love our children or grandchildren, but not everyone else's. So a nice way for you to, again, travel with like-minded individuals. No casinos. It's something that some people wish they had, but we actually think it's a huge benefit in that we're able to stay in ports of call as long as possible because we don't have to go out to international waters to open those casinos. No umbrellas or art auctions, photographers trying to upsell you. You can still get those fancy drinks, but we just won't put that umbrella in there, a drink of the day. We really want to focus again on that level of service. We're very much inclusive, so we're not going to charge you for a number of additional items, even included the spa on our Ocean and Expedition. You're able to go in and use the fitness and the spa, the steam, the sauna. All of those rooms are available for you. Really, again, that no nickel and diming, but that high level of service, all to give you a very inclusive product. Now, I mentioned the destination being a huge element of that, and with the destination comes our tour and our tour experience. And I have a short video. I'm hoping audio will go through that will kind of highlight the experience of going on a tour with Viking. So here we have that.
At Viking, we offer our guests the iconic and the expected, of course. But we also appreciate that we're all different. While I might be interested in more of a local life experience, a visit to a farmer's market in France, or a home visit along the Volga River in Russia, others might be more interested in understanding how a local economy works. So they might be interested in a factory visit. Or on a smaller scale, a visit with a Portuguese baker. My record! So local life and working worlds are experiences that we include for our guests. And then we have privileged access. And that really is privileged. We open doors to places that otherwise aren't open. We share some of our friends' homes and palaces and castles around the world that they otherwise wouldn't share with just anybody. We open museums before and after closing out, and we provide our guests with experiences that are not buyable. These owners appreciate that the Viking guest is different. The Viking guest is traveling to learn. The Viking guest is traveling to connect. Hosts in various destinations actually really enjoy sharing their worlds with our guests because it's a mutually rewarding experience. And what I enjoy very much is seeing that it's not just our guests with big smiles on their faces, it's also our hosts. Everybody leaves pleased, and that's hugely rewarding. The Viking way. Local life, working world, and privileged access. It's a commitment to make sure that we do everything we can to give our guests real experiences and privileged experiences beyond their expectations. That's what sets us apart from many other cruise lines. That's the Viking way.
Yes, so the highlight of that video is to kind of talk about the elements of our excursions and how we experience the destinations through local life, working world, and privileged access. So Karina Hagen, our chairman's daughter who is in that video, really goes to show what those experiences are like, and local life, how people live and what they do from day to day, whether that be going to a local bakery and tasting some of the foods, or into a restaurant, walking along and seeing some of the windmills and some of those items. Going to a university, we go to the Heidelberg University, where you can actually meet students, have lunch with students, and understand what life is like. The working world, where you're actually able to go into the windmills along Kinderdijk and see how they work. Factories, whether it be a farm or a cheese factory, really getting to see why people stopped and started building lives along that river or port of call. And then the privileged access, which also mentions being able to go places where not others are able to go, and opening up doors which are usually locked to the public. And so we're able to work with different museums or locations to go in, whether that be the Sistine Chapel, where you go in with the gatekeeper first thing in the morning, and you don't stand in the crowds and you're not rushed through, but you're able to actually go through and experience and see things at a much higher level. So privileged access is something we're very, very proud of. And we have those on all of our itineraries, where we can show you areas that most do not see. Now, very, very proud of the three different products that we have with River, Ocean, and Expedition. And River really is where we've started and where we've continued to see our guests come back over and over and over. And we were just recently named #1 with Condé Nast and Travel and Leisure. And that's based on our guest feedback. That's not an award that we can buy, but that's something based on the guest experience. And part of that is the design of our ships. Obviously, The locks on the Rhine, the Main, the Danube, many of the riverways state how large we can actually build our vessel, but we've designed them in ways where we maximize the space and give our guests so much public areas and open space, like our aquavit terrace there on the bow of the ship. Most ships use that for ropes and anchors and things. We use that as al fresco dining and a place for guests to enjoy, whether it's coming or going in and out of a port, or a nice place to have a barbecue lunch. That's so nice to see. Now, we have no inside staterooms, so you see the nice windows and verandas all along the front windows going into the dining room, as well as the living room, or the main kind of focal presentation area. But so much to see, and the Scandinavian design is a lot of that as well, with the floor-to-ceiling windows and natural light. The Scandinavian winters are usually quite dark with not as much sunlight, so light colors really do fill the areas, and we want to make sure the destination remains the focus. And so those floor-to-ceiling lights, or floor-to-ceiling windows, allow that natural light, but also for the destination to be that focus. So I really do want to provide high level of service, but also those beautiful views. And here are some of our stateroom categories. You see those 2-room suites up in the top left. You're able to really showcase whether you have the veranda or that picture window. Going into the veranda suites with those outdoor seating where you can take in the destination. Our French balconies where you can slide open the door and again get that fresh air. And then our swan, or our standard room, gives you that picture window, some additional space actually in those rooms. So it really is up to your liking, but we do find that the veranda and the veranda suites are our most popular throughout all of our lines. Now, as far as the popular itinerary and kind of an introduction to river cruising, usually starts with the Rhine, the Main, or the Danube. And so the Rhine getaway really highlights the Rhine River, sailing from Amsterdam to Basel or vice versa. You can sail in either direction. The riverway doesn't really have as much because it's controlled by the locks and dams. So the direction is not as critical, but more if you want to stay longer for a pre or a post. A lot of our guests like to stay about 10 to 12 days. So the 8 days on board the ship itself, with an extension before or after, whether that be in Amsterdam, Basel, heading over to Lucerne or Lake Como. So many options, but actually on the ship itself, the sailings, I mentioned those windmills in Kinderdijk, along to Cologne, where you get to see the cathedral and the old town, Koblenz and Speyer, chance to go over in Heidelberg University, which I mentioned, Strasbourg, some beautiful music and wines in this region, before heading down to Basel, where kind of 3 countries unite, and you have a chance to explore their riverways and canals as well. So a great itinerary, again, introduction. Now, if you're also looking for some more music and still some of those flavors, our Danube Waltz or our Romantic Danube are very, very big with that. I know those of you who love the sound of music will really like this itinerary, the sounds of Mozart and Strauss. And so you can see that and taste the flavors. Traveling from Passau to Budapest, or we have some that sail from Ravensburg to Budapest. Again, either direction you can sail. Extensions to Nuremberg or extra time in Budapest are very, very popular. Some of the itineraries have 2 nights in Vienna. So if you're looking for extra time in Vienna, that is available. And really, again, a great introduction to European river sailing. Now, if you're looking at both of these options, we do have the ability to add that together in a 15-day Grand European, sailing from Amsterdam all the way to Budapest, or vice versa, Budapest to Amsterdam. It'll go through the Danube, the Main-Danube canal. So this is a lot of fun for any of those engineers or engineer-minded individuals, as you'll go through a lot more of the locks, a nice variety of locks as you travel past Nuremberg, and a stop there as well. But again, those of you who may not want to travel back and forth to Europe, this is a great option to see both itineraries in one single trip. Of course, the Christmas markets, very, very popular. If you are looking at Christmas markets this year, there are very few staterooms still available. So do reach out to the Brenco team right away. This is or the MOA Vacations team. I want to make sure that you get onto those trips right away. But for 2025, there is more and more space. If you are interested, please reach out. So many, whether it be on France's riverways, the Danube, the Rhine, you really can see those local markets. Now, if you're looking at other options in Europe, we do sail into Portugal on the Douro. This gives you a chance to really see Portugal. And as you make your way over, then you do have a chance to see Spain with Salamanca. It has a Lisbon extension. And so here's the actual journey that you'll take. Flying into Lisbon, you'll have some time in Porto, tasting some of those wonderful wines, music, culture. The sailing is absolutely stunning along this riverway, and terraced kind of riverside villages. Guests really come back raving. This was a big itinerary pre-pandemic, and it has come back even hotter. So we do see this as a very, very popular itinerary. Another very, very popular itinerary is going to be through Egypt. And here in Egypt, we do have our own ships that we don't charter ships. We actually own and operate our ships, giving us so much of the ability to not only design beautiful ships, but cater to our guests by having additional crew. 82 guests and about 60 crew on board the ship, additional program directors, Egyptologists, again, curated tours all throughout. It is a Cairo land portion that then you'll have a charter flight down to Luxor where you'll board the ship. You'll sail and then come back and a flight back up to Cairo. A few of the extensions have been adjusted, obviously, due to some of the unrest in the area. But safety is our #1 priority, and our guests who are traveling on those itineraries right now cannot say anything better than the experience. They really are enjoying it. Now, I mentioned some of our itineraries. There are more and more itineraries to offer, and I could talk for hours and hours. You see some of the new itineraries as well. So we now sail year-round on the Rhine and the Danube. So if you're looking for a much quieter time, depending on where you live, potentially warmer as well, we do have year-round sailing. So January, February, and March, we do sail on the Rhine and the Danube, as well as a few more additional itineraries with extra time in Vienna, as well as into France, and some combination itineraries like France's finest. So looking at sailing on the riverways a little closer to home, here is our Viking Mississippi, a modern river ship on the Mississippi, sailing from New Orleans all the way to St. Paul, a number of variety itineraries between. You can do a 22-day full day heading northbound or a 15-day southbound New Orleans round trip. That southern itinerary is very much focused on history, music, culture, some great foods in that region. As you make your way up to the Delta, they say the heart of the Delta starts at the Peabody Hotel in Memphis, Tennessee. You get a little bit more of that music and barbecue. As you head up further into the heartlands through St. Louis and up into to Iowa, you get a lot more of that farm culture, and then into some of the Native American culture, as well as the natural beauty of the upper Mississippi. So that upper Mississippi really filled with wildlife, recreation, a very different river, St. Louis North than you get St. Louis South. So again, a little bit closer to home. This is very popular for guests who may not want to travel all the way over to Europe anymore. So this, as well as our Great Lakes itinerary, is very, very popular for that. So as you see, there are more and more options that have come out. This year, we have more itineraries that we're introducing. And again, as I mentioned, the question of where can we take you next? We're always looking at new itineraries, new destinations, and hope to continue to bring those to you. With more and more destinations comes our ocean lines. So we've been sailing oceans for about 7 years. Beautiful ships. On our ocean ships, we're able to have a few more amenities due to the size of the vessel. Again, big focus on public spaces. But like I said, we have a spa and fitness facility. We also have the theater. So much additional with dining, 8 different dining venues for you. So much to experience. Here's that spa. Again, complimentary, all part of your inclusive value. So please do take advantage. If you go on, there's a steam room, sauna, We have the Nordic bathing traditions, so very traditional in Norway, going from hot to cold. So we have cold plunges as well as hot steam rooms available for you. Now, with the theater and some of the options for lectures, we have so many more on board our ocean ships, even a resident historian who has office hours and focuses on the destinations and the places that we go. So you'll be able to get to know them as well as go to their presentations. And mention some of those dining options for you. 8 different dining options, whether that be the main restaurant, Manfredi's, which is our Italian cuisine, Mamsen's, our Norwegian deli, Winter Garden, which provides afternoon tea each day, Chef's Table, which is gastronomy, a rotating menu of 5 to 7 courses with wine pairings. We have our World Cafe and Aquavit Terrace, pool grill, and of course, 24-hour room service. And all of these items are included, no additional charge. For Manfredi's and Chef's Table, you simply need a reservation, but no additional charge for any of these. Now, our unparalleled staterooms is something we're very, very proud of. You see things like in even our restrooms, heated towel racks and anti-fog mirrors, heated floors, all of the little amenities that make such an experience for you. All veranda staterooms on our ocean and expedition, so every room has the chance for you to sit outside and have some alfresco breakfast. Again, still that Scandinavian design. If you're looking at some of our suites, this is our Explorer suite, that big wraparound veranda. The 2-room suites, our ocean suites, give you so much more space. Now here's our Penthouse Junior Suite with a kind of a closed off room, a second room that you're able to have sitting space, television on both sides. Again, that full large veranda for you to experience. Getting into our penthouse verandas, a lot of extra space, a full couch, and again, those large bathrooms with the double vanities. And then our standard veranda staterooms, again, quite spacious. All verandas, so much to provide in these rooms. Now, as far as our itineraries, we have so many I could go through, but a big focus in Scandinavia and Northern Europe, as well as the Mediterranean. We do sail year-round in many of these destinations. I suggest, Italy in the summer is wonderful, but the crowds and the heat. I don't plan on going back unless it's in the winter or in one of the shoulder seasons. A lot of these destinations in the shoulder seasons into the winter really do highlight the destination still, but without the crowds. And so I do think whether it be through the Mediterranean or into Scandinavia, so much that you're able to see. Into the Americas, we do sail from the US down into the Caribbean through the Panama Canal, from the West Coast up to Alaska. We also sail to Australia, New Zealand, into Asia, Japan, China. We have so many of those options for you, from 7 or 8 days all the way up to 30, depending on what you're looking for, and even options to combine a river and ocean cruise together. Now, some of my favorite itineraries, the first itinerary I ever did was actually our Viking homelands. This is an itinerary that sails from Bergen to Stockholm or Stockholm to Bergen. Again, the itinerary direction really is not critical. I like to point out ports like Eidfjord. It looks like a place you'd have to drive to, but our ship is able to go all the way up the fjord, being less than 1,000 passengers, a very small ship. We're able to go through the fjords all the way up and again, experience the beauty of nature. Stavanger and Oslo, you have that Norwegian culture, get to see and experience the Dals of Norway and some of the fishing culture, Aalborg and some of the flavors, into Copenhagen and Tivoli Gardens, Warnemünde, Germany, and Gdansk, you get to taste some of those flavors, and then heading up to Sweden and ending in Stockholm or starting in Stockholm. So much to see with their palaces and a great itinerary. Those of you who might have some British or United Kingdom heritage, I know this is a very, very popular itinerary, sailing from Bergen to London or vice versa, circumnavigating almost all the way around the United Kingdom, stopping in Ireland, Scotland, and England. So many interesting ports of call, a lot of history. Again, for those who have heritage, you get to spend time in places like Edinburgh, Scotland. This is one place I would go to in the summer, whether it be the tattoo or their comedy festival, their book festival. There's so much going on in Edinburgh, but places like Dublin for the beer and that flavors, Liverpool, a little bit of Beatles and music. We really do highlight those destinations. Now, if you're looking to sail the Caribbean, we do the Caribbean a little bit differently. We do the Southern Caribbean, the West Indies, a lot of the British Virgin Islands, the US Virgin Islands, all the way down to Barbados and St. Lucia. So again, smaller ports of call like Dominica, where just one cruise ship can dock there. So the smaller ships really are able to see and experience that like the big ships aren't. So if you are looking at the Caribbean, this is a San Juan round trip, extra time in San Juan if you are interested, but a great way to escape maybe the cold winters and see a little bit different part of the Caribbean. Now, I mentioned the Mediterranean. We sail all around the Mediterranean, but this is one of the most popular itineraries from Barcelona to Civitavecchia, so Rome, or vice versa. You can sail either direction with a little bit of time in France, Spain, as well as Italy. And you also get to see the beautiful country or small country of Monte Carlo, Monaco. So a little bit of the racing and the wealth. Stop over at the casino. France, the flavors, the taste there as well. Now, again, I could talk over and over about so many destinations. Here's a little bit of a map of everywhere that we sail. We have 11 now ocean ships sailing, so destinations all around the world. We've even added around South Africa now with the Red Sea kind of closed. So we have more and more destinations that we are traveling to. I will mention that we've reintroduced some sailings along the coast of China. We have some sailings that combine China and Japan. Some of these are between 10 days and 20 days. They have some land and cruise options. Right now, there's even free international airfare for those China trips. So if it's something you're interested in, do reach out. Itineraries really going everywhere and longer itineraries, even world cruises or segments of a world cruise. So if you're looking to travel from LA to Australia, you can do that and stop in Easter Island or Bora Bora, Tahiti. There's so many options with our world cruises and destinations you won't see really with anything else. I mentioned those China itineraries, very, very popular. We have opened up our 2025 China itineraries. The 2024 have set sail and they're very, very popular. So do want to share those with you. Now, I mentioned the Great Lakes, and our expedition ships are those ships that will sail the Great Lakes, but these were really designed with the highest ability to reach those far off destinations. And so our custom-built Polar Class 6 vessels, the Viking Octantis and Viking Polaris, do sail to Antarctica, and this coming year will sail to the Arctic as well. Here's a great picture of some of our toys. Zodiacs, kayaks, we have special operations boats, submarines. This ship was designed to reach those destinations, almost as large as our ocean ships, but about a third of the passengers. So the amount of public space, the hangar where we store all of those toys, our science and research that takes place on board. There's so much that you're able to experience, and the dining facilities, our spa, staterooms, which are state of the art. We have every room, again, is an outside facing with a Nordic balcony is what we call them. It's a slide down window, giving you a chance to have more space in the stateroom, as well as a full window that slides down, allowing the destination to come to you. So this is one of our Explorer suites, multiple rooms, a shared large outdoor garden as well with these rooms. Our Nordic Junior Suite, again, a large, very, very spacious room with those high level of bathrooms as well, like you saw on our ocean ships, very, very similar. All the rooms also have warming closets to dry off any of your expedition gear and really amenities to go far, far above your expectations. Our Nordic penthouse, as well as our Nordic deluxe room. This is our standard room. And as I mentioned, those bathrooms, very spacious, high amenities. We have all of our Norwegian-based amenities, and everything that we do, again, is very curated and intentional. Now, that main itinerary that we showcase through Antarctica is going to be our Antarctic Explorer. You'll sail from Ushuaia, but the trip will actually start in Buenos Aires, where you'll fly into before joining a chartered flight down to Ushuaia. You'll set sail across the Drake Passage and then have about 6 days in Antarctica before heading back. Now, the actual time in Antarctica does depend on each one of the itineraries. The expedition leader and captain will look at the wildlife, will look at the weather, and give you the best possible landing experiences. So each day they'll look at the next day, they'll see where there's been wildlife sightings, what the opportunities will be for our guests, and they're able to find new locations as well. Recently, there was a new island that was discovered by one of our ships, as well as things like a new penguin colony. And so the research and development that our ship is able to do with our guests, and it's hands-on with our guests, is very, very popular. Now, if you're looking at something a little bit closer up into the Great Lakes, we do have a few different itineraries that actually sail to all 5 Great Lakes, from Toronto all the way to Thunder Bay or Duluth, going to Milwaukee, and you get some of the music and culture of Detroit and Cleveland, going up into the Georgian Bay, and that's where you get kind of that North Woods, over 10,000 islands in that region. So you can take out the Zodiacs and kayaks, and the guests really enjoy the natural beauty of that section of the Great Lakes. Our ships are also going to sail to the Arctic this next coming summer, sailing from Toronto as well as Nuuk, Greenland, up. Many guests may have sailed through the Arctic Circle, but actually stopping in the Arctic and having a chance to step foot onto to some of the lesser traveled areas. Now, speaking of lesser traveled, many guests may have heard of a world cruise sailing around the equator of the world, but this is a latitudinal world cruise that we offer, sailing from the poles, going latitudinal, vertically. So we do have this sailing around the west coast of South America and then up the east coast of North America. There are some sections of this that are broken down, so if you're interested in just a segment, some of those are available as well. Again, looking at more and more destinations as we travel. Now, all of these options are always available for you. Being part of the science and the experience of our expedition ships is so popular. We're always looking at new opportunities, and I will say I had the chance to sail in our Great Lakes, and not only are the ships absolutely stunning, sailing through the Great Lakes and stopping in places like Mackinac Island really are some of those places that you want to see and experience. So that really does cover quite a bit of our ocean, our expedition, and our river ships, and really want to kind of highlight where we can take you next, and why you should really work with MOA. And MOA Vacations is able to offer you some additional items. You're able to get that $100, that'll be through July. I do apologize. That'll be all of July, but we do that from time to time. That's the special offering. Also, the groups with MOA, and really want to highlight that. John had mentioned whether that be with friends or class reunion. If you have 5 or more individuals or staterooms that you'd like to put together, the MOA team can put that together and make a group. They also have MOA Vacations, trips that they've already put together. So if you're looking at traveling with like-minded individuals, that'll usually be in the MOA magazine articles, or just reach out to the MOA team, and they're going to be able to let you know which group sailings are available. There's always something available, and if there's something you want to do or experience, John and the team are able to create that or add a new one. So do think about that with friends, organizations. I mentioned class or company, whether it's a group who you served with, or just somebody that you know from church or somebody back home. So many options for you. Again, we have our summer sale going right now. There's that July MOA special going on. It's throughout the entire month. Do reach out from time to time. We'll do this promotion, $100 additional shipboard credit. So many things can be added with added value for you. And really do want to thank you for your time today. And we look forward to seeing you on board our ships. So thank you. And I think John and I will stick around for a few questions. Hopefully I've answered most of them, but
We've got a number of questions.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, and a couple times if I stepped away and you answered this, I apologize because I was trying to answer questions live. But we did have somebody ask about solo travelers and single supplements.
Yeah. Um, so our ships are generally very, very full. So single supplements are available on our ocean vessels for the direct deluxe veranda category is always available. For our river ships, it is kind of hit or miss depending on the itinerary, but we can always look into it. So if you are looking for a solo cabin, reach out to the MOA Vacations team. If they're not able to see something, they can reach out to me. But generally, our ships do sail with double occupancy, but there is always the chance that we can look and see what's available. And as I said, on ocean, Deluxe Veranda always has a single supplement.
Okay. Somebody asked about the shipboard credit, what it could be used for. Because you kind of went through and said there was no nickel and diming. So I kind of threw a couple of things out that I thought of off the top of my head, but I thought you might have a more eloquent answer on what that shipboard credit could be used for.
So the shipboard credit, a lot of our guests end up using that for additional optional excursions. So a more intimate boutique experience, whether that be going to a private concert or a factory, a wine tour. Some of those can be used. You can use that for excursions. You can also use that on our ocean and expedition for the spa or in the shops. We have some small shops on our river ships, but very large shops on ocean with duty-free shopping. Also, our silver beverage package. I mentioned that beer and wine is included at lunch and dinner. For those of you who like high-level spirits or high-level wines, again, you have the opportunity for our silver beverage package, which is just $25 a day. And that's from sunup to sundown. You can have as much libations as you want. And so that $100 really could put a dent in the silver beverage for $25 a day. I'm probably missing a few other things, but you could apply that towards gratuities if you do wish. A lot of our guests do choose to do an auto gratuity, but the shipboard credit can be used for those elements.
So like the spa is free, but there's spa treatments that have a charge, correct?
Correct.
And then you have gift shops on board.
Correct.
I put a note in there. I think I'd have to think back, but for sure the last 3 river cruises I was on, I used my onboard credit at the gift shop because I didn't do any beverages or any special excursions or something like that. But you'll find something to purchase it on. I think the last one I went on, I got like a bracelet for my daughter. The one before that, I got a necklace for the wife. So just that kind of thing. So
absolutely.
While we're talking about gratuities, I'm going to go out of order on this. Somebody asked about gratuities for room service. And so you kind of led into the gratuities. So can you kind of let everybody know what the gratuities are and what that includes?
Yeah. So as I said, I come from working on board our ships, and I'm very proud of the way that we take care of our crew. All of our crew have our standard pay, and then there's an optional gratuities that all of our guests pay into. You can adjust that if you do so wish, but we kind of have our standard. I believe it's $17 a day per person currently, and so guests can choose to pay before going on board. You can adjust that while on board. But then we do find a lot of our guests like to share additional gratuities to those who really go above and beyond and exceed their expectations, whether that be their stateroom housekeeper or a bartender that knows you by name and knows your drink by the second day. If you get room service, you're welcome to tip somebody who goes above and beyond. But again, we do take very good care of our crew. We have very competitive wages, and so it's really up to you. It's those guests who really go above and beyond. If you want to recognize them additionally, a lot of guests do bring some 5s, 1s. You can tip in euros or in US dollars. It's really up to you.
Gotcha. Somebody asked about beauty shops. Are they exclusively on your ocean ships? Are they on ocean and expedition?
So we have that on ocean and on expedition.
Okay.
Generally, we find that for the longer itineraries, that's more popular. On river ships, we have local kind of shops that we work with, so we know where they are all along the river.
Gotcha. Somebody asked the two parts to it. The first part I didn't really understand. I'll see if he replied to my question. He said, "Are the rooms on your Iceland trip smaller?" Iceland would be ocean, right? And you
Yeah,
have
we do have
a half dozen different.
yeah, so our staterooms on our ocean vessels are very spacious. And then there with Iceland in our new Arctic itinerary is going to be on the expedition ships. And those staterooms are almost identical space-wise to ocean. You actually get a little bit more because the veranda becomes a Nordic balcony. But I wouldn't say Iceland, we would have anything smaller. Same with even, the expedition ships going to Antarctica. They're very spacious, designed with comfort in mind and the ability to go to Antarctica.
Gotcha. Accommodations for travelers with disabilities. Once again, that's going to be ocean and expedition, or is it just ocean?
So the biggest thing with guests with mobility concerns is the destinations in which we're going to.
Yeah.
The ships themselves have a universal design. So we have elevators on our ships. We have the ability to get around and get, our crew will be very accommodating. But it's the destinations, and many of the places that we go to, through Europe are, UNESCO sites, and they can't make adjustments to cobblestone streets. And so we do generally want our guests to be able to get out and explore. But if somebody does want to just stay on board the ship, usually our ocean ships are the most accessible or easiest to get on and off of. River ships can be more challenging with gangways and the accessibility of those ports of call.
You offer upgraded flights if somebody wants to fly business class?
Absolutely, you can do that through Viking Air, or as it gets closer and once it's been ticketed, you can do that through MOA Vacations and the airline. But it's really up to the guests whether they want to do that with Viking Air. We do have so much added with transfers. We have additional ground staff to help you through your transportation. So Viking Air is very, very popular.
Gotcha. Your benefits for past passengers.
So we have past passenger bonuses based on your recent sailings. So that's kind of builds depending on when you've recently sailed with us. Generally, it's between $100 and $200 for somebody that hasn't sailed with us in a while. We've had up to $800 per stateroom for recent past guests. It really depends on the promotion, but we do want to recognize all of our past passengers.
Excellent. Somebody asked if you would speak to the free air program, what airlines, fare class, etc., please. So obviously it's going to be coach air on the free air.
Yeah, so our free air is it depends on month to month promotions. So a lot of times that will be from 100. A lot you'll kind of see in it right now. I think there's about 150 main gateway or hub airports that we'll fly from. We're always going to have you fly in the direction. We'll never send you the opposite direction to head back to the destination. We use the major carriers. So domestically, American, Delta, United, KLM, Lufthansa, internationally, really all of those partner airlines to those, depending on the destination you are going. We use the high end kind of airlines.
Somebody asked, does Viking offer pre and post trip hotel stays? I mean, I know you have pre and post packages, correct?
Yes.
I'm not sure exactly what they're asking, but for example, the one I was looking at most recently was Passau to Budapest, and you have like a Prague 3-night package. So I know you offer packages, but if somebody just wanted like something outside of that package, like if I wanted just to go in a day early, do you offer that?
Yeah, so we have a number of different options. So there's those packages, but then we also have what we call our city stays. And so the city stay will just be the transfer to the hotel, the time at the hotel with a representative in the lobby, so they can help you with finding tours or reservations, and then transfer to the ship as well. So that's on majority of the itineraries. If it's not available on an itinerary, working with the air department, you can do an extra day, fly in early, and then we can help you to arrange some of those transfers and those types of items too.
Gotcha. Right now we only have two left. This one I'm going to let you answer because I want them to hear it directly from you. But the person is basically saying that they get Viking promotions with, sales prices, advertised specials, free air or reduced air programs. And the question was, does MOA offer these programs? And of course, my answer is yes, absolutely. But I wanted you to address the fact that are there any promotional offers that Viking has that would not be available to MOA Vacations?
Yeah, so my answer is if you don't book through MOA Vacations, you're leaving money on the table. All of the promotions or information that you get from Viking, MOA is able to utilize, but then additionally add value through like the $100 shipboard credit we're able to give this month. Any of the promotions you receive in the mail or whether it be emailed, there's going to be a promotional code, usually a couple letters and numbers. You would simply give that to the MOA advisor. Usually they already have those, but if it is something that you just received that day, they're able to apply it and then add the added value of the MOA Vacations kind of promotion. So
exactly how I would have answered that question.
You're leaving money on the table.
But I wanted it to come from Viking, right? That's one of the things because I'm sure that perhaps it's more believable coming to you. All right, so the last one, and I'm going to answer this one, but I didn't know if you wanted to comment. Somebody said the gratuity is not really optional. There's a mandatory minimum, and I think all of the cruise lines have kind of gone to this kind of formula now where they have a set gratuity that is added that you can change either lower or higher if you want. So the reason they say it's optional, if they say they're going to do $17 a day, and I'm going to make my life simple and say you're traveling as a single for 10 days, so the gratuity is 170. You can go to the front desk and change that to 150. You can change it to 200. So that's why they say it is optional. But Viking is not unique in the fact that they basically, you either pay the preset amount in advance or that is automatically added to your account, but you can change it if you would like to. Anything you want to add to that?
No, that's spot on. It's I've seen guests who do make the adjustment, who add additional, or they simply, as I said, provide cash tips to individuals, or they lower it down a little bit because they want to give more cash tips. So it's up to each individual. And prepaid, you can do that and you don't have to worry about it once you get on board. Or as you mentioned, you can wait and pay it on board and you can adjust it as you wish.
Perfect. All right. We had a lot of people. We had a lot of questions. I love it. Bret, great job as always. Before we sign off, I just want to remind everyone that we did record this. We will upload it to our YouTube channel tomorrow. You'll get an email that will be a link to this video. It may not be first thing tomorrow morning since we're actually going to have our IT team go in and change that video out. I have no idea how long something like that takes. But tomorrow at some juncture, you will get a copy of this presentation. Once again, everything we talked about today is available to not only MOA members, but MOA members, friends, and guests. If you would have more fun on your vacation, be it ocean, expedition, or river, if your brother went, or if your neighbor went, or if a fellow MOA member went, or whatever it is, absolutely invite them to come along. They will get the exact same pricing, the exact same free amenities that you receive. So we'd love to have them join us. So on behalf of myself, everyone at MOA Vacations, and everyone who signed up today, Bret, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend a little over an hour with us. And I'm going to turn it over to you for the final word.
Well, thank you so much, John. And as mentioned, MOA Vacations really is that high level of service. And I think everybody that travels with John and his team really get that great service, and it's extended into a Viking voyage. And we hope to see you exploring the world in comfort, and we'll see you again in the near future. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.